Yeah, here's a really interesting um on the cloning side of things. So we have built into the mass content, we have the ability to create short form video without you actually having to record it. So all we need is like 30 seconds to like maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of your voice. And we could actually use the scripts that our AI generates and then drop that script into our voice cloning technology and it sounds just like you. We use it for Amber. We've been doing a lot of testing with it, but it's pretty crazy. But you can really speed up
Wow.
your short form video process with that.
Oh, that's amazing. So theoretically, so say if you wanted to, do a podcast episode, but you don't actually want to do it, and you have like the AI has your voice in there, can you like type it out and then it'll just make like a podcast of your voice?
Yep. You could do it.
Wow.
Podcast would be a little aggressive because it's so long.
Oh, yes.
Short form video would be ideal right now. And you could just absolutely crank short form video. I'll
And
give you
even
an
with your face too, like you could be on video, will it look like you or will it look weird with your mouth moving or it would look realistic?
I'll give you an example right from mass content.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Let's do this.
this is pretty cool. So let's pull open the screen here. To do okay. So on mass content, we have let's pull it open. We have a tab specifically for creating video. And we've been doing all kinds of really cool tests with this, but with this one, let's go ahead and just do Christina. And then you could do any script that you want, but I'll just drop in this script just for the sake of doing something quick. Hey Christina, great call today. Uh, let's get mass content rolling so you can save hours and speed up. Oh, save hours and scale at the same time. So that's my script. Really easy. All I do is hit create voiceover and it does this thing. It takes about 45 seconds or so. We'll see a file drop. Now that file, once you have the voiceover, then there it is right there. Once you have the voiceover, let's go ahead and hear it. So this could be any voice, mind you. This is my voice, but it could be any voice. It could be, um, and we say as long as you have rights to that voice. But let's go ahead and have a look.
Hey, Christina, great call today. I hope this was valuable for you. Let's get mass content rolling so you can save hours and scale at the same time.
Wow. And that's not really you. That's the AI.
That's the AI, but
Wow.
it sounds just like me. So
Yeah.
what we've done with this is we've dropped this over, Hermosi type videos or B-roll videos where you can have your voice in the background. Now, obviously, you want to have like some kind of because it does sound a little robotic, but it's nothing that a little music won't fix. And this is just the beginning stages of this too. So from here, if we go, okay, we like this voiceover, we can just say create video. It's going to do its thing. Now, the video creation part, because we're going to render a video, it takes a little bit of time. So I'm not going to wait until the video is done, but I'll give you a good example of what the video looks like. So this is just completely automated from start to finish.
Hey team, this is the type of video we can create with mass content. I did this 100% automated. I did not have to speak a word to create this voiceover. It can be any video or image and was generated in a few clicks. Hope you find this as exciting as I do. See you soon.
Wow. So this could be a great use for the audiograms.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you could put your picture up just like that and then it'll do that thing with the audio going up like that.
Yep.
And you can just put that out, which oh wow, that's amazing. You never really have to record anything. You're just typing it in.
Just typing in. And it's perfect for
Wow.
people that have a hard time getting in front of camera, but they want to be the authority and want to use their voice. That's really, and also we have a lot of people in our program that are agency owners and they do content for business owners. So what they do is they say, okay, let's get approval to use your voice, and then they can crank content out for the business owner or for the coach or for anybody that they're working with using their voice without them having to be in the room.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. Wow.
Pretty cool, right?
That is absolutely a total game changer. My goodness, that's crazy. So like, yeah, you just typing it in, you don't have to worry about like, do you have background noise distractions? You know, are you
Yep.
stumbling over your words or you're, you know, getting tongue tied and you just boom, you just type it and it talks as you.
Just that's it right there. And we use
Wow.
this could be any video. It doesn't I use like a AI version of me with some text or some captions in the background, but the captions that's 100% automated as well. So
Oh,
everything
wow.
that you saw about this, like the voice creation and the video, both of those were just done with a couple clicks, 100% automated.
So how long would it take to make something like that if somebody wanted to make it on their own through using the mass content software?
For a video like this where it's like 30 seconds long, 20 seconds long, it would probably take about 5 minutes
Wow.
with a
Oh my
couple
God.
clicks because the video has to render. You can have
Right.
B-roll in it too. We would recommend, and we have a way of doing this as well, but we would recommend doing a little bit of manual work so that way you can have a little more control over it. But if you like this type of audiogram with the captions and just a cool like picture of you or picture of something, um, and it could be like like for spiritual coaches, it could be like meditations and like all kinds of really cool stuff that you could just throw on YouTube or throw on shorts. Short form video is probably the best.
So you could get like over, let's say, for example, Canva, and get if you're a pro member, get a little to say you
Exactly.
meditation, the ocean waves going with the palm trees, and then your voice is talking over it.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh wow, that is really cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's
interesting.
really cool. We just saw a new feature on Canva too where oh this it created the video.
Hey, Christina, great call today. I hope this was valuable for you. Let's get mass content rolling so you can save hours and scale at the same time. So we just
Wow.
now.
You can personalize and onboard new people too, or like after calls, you can
Hmm.
send them one of these, which that's a great use.
Or outbound systems. We have a outbound system that's built into mass content where we use some automation tools that will send a personalized voice note. So like if somebody joins your group, you can welcome them with a personalized voice note, stuff like that. You get
Wow.
really
Oh,
creative.
so somebody joins a group, but would that be done through Facebook Messenger? Like, so they join and then you'd send them a message like that, or that would be sent by via email or text?
Both. You could go
Ah,
both ways if you wanted to.
oh,
You can go
wow.
messenger, you can go text and email, you can go voice drops, you can go like there's a lot of really cool use cases that you can
Oh,
do
so
with it.
that's so cool. So you could like, like make these customized with their names and
Yep,
do welcome stuff for your members as they join your group and just send them to Messenger and just,
exactly.
oh, wow, that is really cool. Instead of having to sit there and film yourself saying the same thing.
Yep. Yep, you nailed it.
Wow. Oh, wow. That is so cool. Oh my goodness.
This is really good for like low ticket offers too. If you have somebody that you've been chatting with, um, going back and forth in DM, and then they want to come into a low ticket offer, this is a nice way to put a personalized touch to that. It's really good for like wowing somebody, I guess you would say.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cause it's really cool looking and you've got that with the audio going in the back. And I guess you can customize all the colors too.
Yep.
And the images
Mhm.
and for your brand. And yeah, it's impressive to give them that little welcoming. Or if you, like you said, if you're, bringing them on or selling them into something low
Yeah,
ticket.
exactly. We even had a voice or sorry, a automation. I'll pull it up where it was a similar kind of feel. But basically what we would do is have a TV like this in the background, and I would take a selfie of myself going like this, and it would have the person's name show up in the TV. But we're
Oh,
just using
wow.
a automation that put the person's name like over the TV, but behind me.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. You can get real creative with this personalization stuff.
Oh my goodness. So within, so you have, say, somebody comes into the software, you have different use cases. Like, what would you say would be the top use cases that you see to get, to increase your social media followings and stuff too? Would it be these audio video type of things, or what are you seeing as the best, tools to use?
It's probably a combination of all of it. So like it's really the most firepower that you can use. So like having a voice note and having a customized or a personalized like image, and then having really good content, and like you're approaching it all, you're firing at all cylinders. So to hone in on like one specific thing, I think the thinking with that would be limited. But I think the bigger picture is, how do I expand my reach and fire at all cylinders as fast as possible without having to like create all this stuff, right? So like,
Get as much out there as possible. So you mean
yeah,
like, and it creates, let's go over quickly what it creates. So it creates videos, social posts.
yeah, videos, social posts. So the con it's hard to say like just social posts, because what we want to do really is we want to create contextual campaigns. In other words, a big breakthrough was for me was understanding that it wasn't content itself that was king. It's actually data that's king.
Mm.
And contextual content is queen. And these two work together. So in other words, we need two elements. We need the data, we need the proper information in order to give the content the right context. Then we give the context behind that content. And with those two things working in congruence with each other, we have a masterpiece. So basically, think of it like this: garbage in, garbage out with automation, but masterpiece in, masterpiece out. So in other words, what we do before building the post and building the content and building the videos, the short form, is really, really, really important. That's where most people miss they drop the ball, is they don't do enough research. They don't do enough. They don't have enough data behind their campaigns to inject into their context, so the campaigns work really well.
And so what does that look like, just for clarity? Like when somebody's going to make, well, what do they need to do to have the best stuff that, creates this masterpiece in and out?
Oh, I love this. So it's all pretty much done for them. So basically, within mass content, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the data side of it.
Hmm.
So we're going to have a research area. That research area, basically, we fill out a couple pieces of key information on a form, and the AI will pull data based off of the little bits and pieces of information. But think of it kind of like a snowball. We don't have to give it a lot of information, but we have to give it very accurate information. So when we give it very accurate information, we can start building on top of the previous steps. So it's kind of like a Lego, or like a snowball, where you take one piece and you just start adding and adding and adding. And then this right here is how we start our campaign. So what we're going to do is we're going to get, and this kind of goes into how we create our offers. We create our offers by using a copywriting framework called the 7A framework. And when we did this, the reason why we built this into our content is because we started closing deals like crazy when we did this. We went from like, struggling with a $3,800 offer that was closing maybe 10 to 20% of the time, to closing like 75% at a 19K offer.
Oh, wow.
And like closing like most, like we went on a hot streak where we closed 6 consecutive deals back to back to back to back without missing one, because of this framework that we're using inside of our sales system. So we took that framework and we built it into mass content. And so mass content has like all these different things that are required in order to create the buying or the buying temperature for the person on the other side. So they are primed to say yes.
Wow. And so what would be the pieces of that? So you're saying for using in the sales process, are you talking like emails and
Yeah.
website? Like what are the actual pieces?
This is really great because this goes into what I wanted to talk about completely naturally.
Great.
So the framework that we use is called the dime method for offers, but I'll break down the reason why I want to pull it up is because there are very specific key components to making somebody understand that even at like a 25K price point, that if they walked away from the situation, as long as you can legitimately prove to them that they're going to get a return on their investment. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, but a lot of times it is. But you have to prime them and give them a clear understanding, tangible understanding that even at that investment, it's going to be a no-brainer deal for them. So the way that we do that is these are the 7 elements that we need. The first one is attention. We got to address the surface level problems that get their attention. The second one is acknowledge. We need to acknowledge their own problems with their own messaging. So this is why the research is really important. The third is agitate. We need to introduce the claim of a real problem that we're solving and create cognitive dissonance. So in other words, they get conflicting beliefs and they say, okay, there's something here. We need to solve. We need to figure this out. And this is basically curiosity. Fourth is we need to create authority. So how we can deliver or how we can prove that we can deliver to the degree of certainty, sophistication, and time. Otherwise, they're going to seek outside sources. Now, if you've ever been on a sales call, and this happened to us a lot when we were first starting out and not using this, is we get on a sales call, we'd start talking to somebody, and then they would say, okay, let me think about it. And then a week later, we followed up with them and they would say, oh yeah, I signed up with the other coach that I was watching for the last couple of months. That's because the authority was missing.
Right. And yes, authority is so crucial. Credibility, authority, and being top of mind. Exactly. You know, because people will look at people and look for that authority. They're going to want to, you know, be sure they're investing in the person that they feel has the most authority. Authority wins.
Exactly. Nailed it. Number 5, this could be the biggest piece of the puzzle. The cost of them not fixing the problem. Otherwise, it's not going to be important for them. So if you ever get the objection on a call or like inside of a sales process where it's like, I don't know if that'll work for me, or I don't know how, I don't know if I'm ready yet. That's a good one. Then we haven't clearly demonstrated the angst. Ambiguity, the exact steps. Otherwise, they're going to think they'll doubt it'll work for them. So here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. And an appeal, what's the cost? What's the additional thing that you can add on top of it to create a no-brainer, immediate action from the prospect? So these are all built into mass content. And when we look at mass content, let's go to the research tab. When we look at mass content on the research side, we fill out one form and then we're going to get basically all this data dropped here. So avoidance, angst, acknowledge, obstacles, agitate, desires, big problems. And what we're going to do, this is just data for us to, it's not like for us to get overwhelmed by it, but it's data for us to have as firepower. So it's something that we can come and leverage if we needed it. And what we're going to do is just have the AI write all those important aspects so we can drop it into our content when we need to. So this is literally the starting point, is doing the right research. Now on day 1 through 3, what we're going to do is write some topics, write some headlines, and then that way we can just pull. So in other words, one of the biggest problems that we found with like Jarvis or the bigger companies is you still got to come up with stuff, and that stuff can get in the way of you actually producing the content. So in other words, like we want it to be like so simple to fill out like 2 to 3 pieces of information to get the ball rolling, to start the snowball effect. And so what we do is we have a form with just a couple pieces of information that will go and create all of this information that we can pull from.
So it's simplified. It's not like you're right, because oftentimes, it is what you ask the AI to do. And if you don't know what to ask it, you're not going to get the results.
Exactly. But there's a lot of moving pieces. And that's why I brought this up, because there's a lot of moving pieces that need to be in place with your content in order for it to be successful. And most people don't know these types of frameworks, or they don't know like what goes into creating this type of content. But when you have something like what we have with mass content or AI tools and building on top of that, you can use these frameworks and give the AI context, just like we talked about earlier, the context behind your content, the data that's required that we need to feed into the system in order to create masterful content at scale.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Super, super powerful. And the result of this is just like what we saw with our sales process. It's speeding up the enrollment process. It's creating consistency with your enrollment process through content. And in content, what we did with content funnels is basically a webinar that's ongoing. So it's using your content as a webinar or as a mechanism to drive sales consistently. But these are all different psychological elements that are required to do that. These little bits and pieces create a masterpiece. And when you miss even like one little piece or you do it wrong, it can throw a wrench in the whole system. So that's why it's important to have all those little pieces come together.
Absolutely. Right. To create all, because that's the basis for all of the content that's produced. And so if we were to make a list, just so people know the list of the different things that the software can do, could you like go over really quickly, like what is, what exactly does, what kind of content does it produce?
It's going to produce content for every single social channel, 2 posts per day, with this sales cycle underneath it, with this sales structure underneath it. So imagine like what you're doing right now. A lot of people, and this is what we were doing, is we're focused on one channel, Facebook, because it was so time consuming to even think about or even go try to create content for Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, blogs, all this stuff. By the time you did that, and I think Hermosi said he's spending about $80,000 a month to hit all these channels. But it's when you do it, and when you do it right with the sales psychology underneath there, you're giving value, you're bringing people through a process where they can clearly see you as an expert and as the authority, and you're hitting all these psychological triggers through the process, you can create ripples just like these big guys are doing.
And you're protecting yourself too by being on, multiple different platforms. So if one goes away, you still have the other ones.
That's a big piece of it, because if your Facebook gets shut down, if your ads account gets shut down, like there's just all kinds of things that could happen. It's so out of our control. And even having your own list, it's not going to be nearly as effective as going and you firing at all cylinders, going and having all the content go out that you need in order to scale. But the biggest problem that we saw is people just don't know where to start. They don't know how to inject a sales system into the content, and they don't have the time or the resources in most cases to do it.
Exactly. Excuse me. I'm losing my voice all of a sudden.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, like where I was talking fine until now I sound like a frog. But that's incredible. Yeah. Oh, coming back now.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So one quick question, does it adapt to the different, so we know like LinkedIn, Twitter, maybe Facebook, like it's different, like platforms, like different things, they have different sizes, different, different requirements. Does it modify for that?
100%. And that was it was difficult for us to do that because there's so many different formats and there's so many different cultures, I guess you would say, like what,
Wow.
in other words, what
Mhm.
happens on Facebook is not going to work well on Twitter. What works well on Twitter is not going to be something that works well on TikTok. So in order for you to repurpose that type of content, you have to know the frameworks, and you could kind of repurpose like from channel to channel, but chances are it's not going to work as well. So we have 14 different frameworks for TikTok that are viral frameworks that we build on top of, 14 for Twitter that are viral Twitter frameworks, 14 for Facebook, 14 for Instagram, and 14 for LinkedIn. And then we have our
Huge.
blog structure and our YouTube structure, which is basically value forward content. So a lot of the intent based how to do this and get this result type of content is going to be injected inside of blogs and also YouTube. And that way
Mhm.
you're creating authority and giving value. It's a little bit slower process on the lead gen side with that. But once you nail it, because you're giving so much value, you're creating a community, and then it just starts to grow like wildfire because it starts to compound, and it's evergreen type of content, meaning it's not disruptive content where someone's like scrolling on their phone and then they see something and then 10 seconds later they're off to another, post or whatever. This is like
Exactly.
them typing in or them searching for a very specific solution, and we want to give value on that solution. So with the blogging and the YouTube system that's built in mass content, it's going to create that.
Does the YouTube system include the thumbnails for the
Yeah.
videos? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So it creates thumbnails for the videos. That's huge.
Yep.
Oh my
It's
gosh. Because that's like, excuse me. Here I go again. That's like a big thing. I literally sound like a frog. Because
fine.
you used to have to hire somebody to do that or go to Canva and figure it out. Then you got to upload it and, put it in. So you're saying that the mass content will just do all that when you send it off to YouTube.
Yep. And same thing with your social images too. I'll give you an example of what the image would look like. Let me get it rendered here for a second. This is what the image looks like for our YouTube thumbnails. So you basically have, and this is dynamic data here. You basically have your highlight words inside the box, your logo, your outlined image of yourself, and then your your attention grabbing headline. And then this is all dynamic. So you can change all the colors. You can change obviously the image of yourself. You can rotate them. You can change the image in the background. You could change the logo, all of that type of stuff. And this is just one of the many templates that we have right now. But basically, you'll fill out a form and it'll just create like 10 different templates. And then you can pick whatever one you want.
And then it'll insert for each video that headline. Will it come up with
Yeah.
like a catchy viral headline to
Yep.
like grab attention for each individual? Yeah, because all the platforms, like you're right, are so different. Like, what works on Facebook doesn't work on LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn's a whole other beast, of content, and something on LinkedIn's not going to work over on YouTube. So like
Exactly.
it's to have that be able to customize what's working for each platform. That's really huge.
Yep. I'll give you an example. These are the headlines that we come up with they're just the first 10 there. And you could always create more if you want to, but we have how-to headlines, why you should headlines, and first-person headlines. So why you should start booking appointments with your Facebook group and feel the thrill of high-ticket sales. Why you should lean on book appointments with your Facebook group and unleash your inner coach. Unlock the secret to effortlessly booking high-ticket sales appointments with your Facebook group. So these, you can just find the one that you want, copy it, drop it into the form, and boom, it would just create the image for you. And the image would look something like this. And
is this what the user sees, like with this says add image, and you have Canva integrated in this, or is that your interface?
yeah, this is our interface. So like this is the social posts. Each of the social posts that we create, this is the actual social post here. So this is a formatted post. This is on day one. And then you have an image created with it and a story image created with it as well. And these are totally dynamic images. So you can actually go and and change, like, this is the headline. You could drop anything in there. You can change it to any logo that you want. You could have any number of logos inside of your system. And then we also have, instead of a picture of me or you or whoever, it could be a picture of a meme, just like this. So like Elon Musk, or, that we have all kinds of memes inside of our system. And it's really just dependent on what you choose when you build out the post.
And when it's posting, so it's posting to, let's say it's posting to a story.
Yep.
So is there any way to get like because a link into that? Or if you're saying drop a link, you have to go back and monitor where everything is in order to give the link to the people who comment?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in those cases, wherever the post, like if the call to action is inside, like here, it says, if you want access to the training or tool, comment the keyword or click the link in the bio. You could pick one of those. This is just a template. And obviously you would change this, and then every time it would create it, it would just create the new templated version with the right data in there. But if they say a keyword, you just watch for the keyword to go in on your post, and then you would send them that piece of information. Or you can potentially do it automated too. We have some tools that might help with that. But yeah, you're gonna have to monitor your posts just like you would, in many cases. We're looking for a way to streamline. Like, I know for sure we can do like a keyword comment and on Instagram and fire off a DM using like ManyChat or something like that. So there's ways that we can connect automation to it to streamline it. But some channels don't have that. There's definitely a way to do it on YouTube. There's a way to do it on Instagram. There's a way to do it on Twitter. But Facebook, from what I know, I don't think there's a way to do it outside of a business page. So on your personal page, that's the main thing.
Right.
But you could do it from ManyChat from a personal page. So basically what we would do, and this is kind of the phase 2 of mass content, is back end sales. So now you have your front end sales system, which is your content going out. Now your back end sales need to be on point, and they need to bring people through a proper sales process. And that's the next stage for mass content with where we're going on the roadmap, is we will have a way to build and align back end systems. So to bring people through a funnel, to bring people through a VSL, to bring people through a low ticket offer, those types of things, our system will be able to create those things. So it'll create tools that we can use. And
that's cool.
Yeah, this is going to be really powerful.
Yeah, the whole back end part, right? Because sometimes you lose track of your content too. But yeah, not all of them can do that. I know that ManyChat does that with some of the commenting things, but a lot of people are confused with that too, how to set that up. And it's easier for people who are techie, right? But the non-techie people.
Exactly. Yep. We want a system that from A to Z will create the front end content, which is sales driven, value forward, authority building, and trust building content. And then we want really, really good products on the back end that bring people through an accelerated, preferably high ticket sales process, where you can use something like a low ticket offer, a VSL, or any of those things, and our system would create it with the same sales psychology that we talked about earlier, and bring them through that accelerated sales process so we can now focus on client fulfillment. So these two areas, having a dynamic, value forward, high ticket accelerating back-end sales process, and also resources and tools and checklists and spreadsheets and stuff like that we can create that will bring people through a value forward process. So sometimes on my social channel, I'll just go and create something based off of market demand. So I'll say, hey, I'm thinking about creating this thing. Who would want it? Then everyone like comments on it, and then I'll go and actually create it. And then if the demand's there, but I'll spend a lot of time I'll put a lot of energy, I'll put a lot of effort in creating that thing. And usually what we want to create is something tangible. In other words, something that they feel like they own. That can be a document like a Google Doc, can be an SOP, it could be a spreadsheet, it could be a tool, it can be a lot of different things, a checklist. But what I found works the best is just plain old Google Docs, because they feel like they own it and it's valuable in that sense. So we've been building our business handing out Google Docs with like with like information on it. I'll give you an example. This is one that actually probably brought us like, I don't even know how much money at this point, but and how much client enrollments. But this one, it's one of our tools. We built this SOP and we ran ads to it. We did all kinds of things, but it's just a Google Doc, but it's a very well crafted Google Doc that people find valuable. And that's what we want to create with the system, is these types of materials. But with the AI can create most of this stuff now.
And it was created in just like that, in like with the background design and everything.
Yep.
Because what's cool, interesting what you say about Google Docs is, I think the benefit to Google Docs over PDF would be that when you go to search, when you forget things, you know, like in your files, you forgot the name of it, or whatever, like you kind of, it's easier to find something in your Google Docs once you've had it in there.
Yep. And then
totally agree.
inside of our assets, so we give like, you know, room for them to write their information and like kind of like a workbook scenario. But on the bottom here, this is all the call to actions. So this is our resources. These are our tools. These are our you know, different things that they could purchase from us. These are our programs right here. So we're putting kind of like promotional information, because what happens is somebody, when they get this resource, whether they pay for it or they get it for free, they start going down the rabbit hole. And this is what we call a content funnel. They go to the next stage and they start clicking without even realizing that they're clicking. And because you've gave them so much value on the front end, they want to know more. So give them the opportunity to learn more, and then you'll find your calendar getting full just by giving out these resources. They book themselves.
And so the AI made that for you. So the whole thing was made with the AI. You didn't have to hire a graphic designer. You didn't have to do the layout. You just input in the content and it spit that out.
Not quite, not yet, but it will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Christian made that one though.
I made
designer.
That one. I made
He's
that
the
one.
designer of that one.
But our system will make these types of resources soon. So beautiful resources that we can give out, that are value-driven resources that we can place our promo material or call booking links or low ticket offers or any of those things inside of there. We'll have a system built into the back end of mass content that will create these assets. And so
those are lead magnets. Those are your lead magnets right there.
Lead magnets, yep.
And then people struggle and spend a lot of time on them. And if you don't have, you know, I'm looking at the perspective of every, you know, the normal person, you know, like doesn't have access to their in-house graphic designer or somebody that could pay a lot of money to each time. So to be able to have that and be able to create a lead magnet on the fly, that's huge, you know, to fulfill it, or maybe even possibly, I don't know if you plan for like workbooks and stuff too, and all that stuff like that.
Workbooks, yeah.
Yeah, all that is great. Like when you're, you know, to not have to spend the time, even slides, which is, that's a great thing as well. To be able to
nailed it.
Presentation.
Nailed it.
Yeah, all of these things are, you know, this is what the overwhelm I see, that most women, especially, and then they get so overwhelmed. They're like, oh gosh, I can't just do all this, because it's so many moving components and pieces and design and then keeping the brand consistent. And so, and you seem to solve that problem by having it all with the push of a button and be able to get this out and everything too, which is amazing.
Yep. And so what the system will do is it'll do the research, use the AI to do the research. It'll pull in like very specific copywriting forward psychological elements, like the angst and like the, you know, the obstacles that somebody are going through. And then we can bring that into the system and create everything. So in other words, we can create, first, we would create an asset, right? We would create a lead magnet, or we create a low ticket offer or something like that. And then we would create a content funnel based on that. So we can sprinkle that asset through the content funnel. And that's our lead gen system that brings people through our sales process. And now we have a back end sales process, like what you saw earlier, that would accelerate and clearly show somebody, even at like a 10K, 20K, whatever that price point is, that's very specific. You have to be able to tangibly show them that if they invested that much, they're going to get a return on their investment. It's a no-brainer deal for them. But we need to use that framework in order to demonstrate that as they go through our sales process. And this is how we create pretty solid, consistent, and like very, I'm not going to say effortless because that would be pushing it, but like very little resistance through the process.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. It's very, very exciting to have all these new AI tools, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So exciting.
Super, super
Yeah.
cool.
Especially because, for someone like me, I felt like my content was great. I felt really, really confident putting out content because I felt like I resonate deeply with how I feel. And I feel like people will resonate deeply with it too. But like Christian was explaining earlier, if it's not structured in a certain way, you're not going to get the outcome that you want. And then you're not able to have the impact that you really want to have because you're not able to attract and nurture and enroll clients from their own perspective, using the verbiage that they would use to describe their problem, right? So I know there's a lot of women like me, especially in your community, Christina, who put stuff out there and we feel really good about it. I mean, it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and we need to get better at it. And I was one of those people that really needed to accept that maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was. And using tools like this allowed me to use still my personality, still the same concept, but write it in a way where it's actually going to convert into sales so that we can have a bigger impact. And I think that's really a really important thing to mention for the women out there who maybe don't mind content creation, but they're not getting the results that they want with their own content creation.
And that's so true because we may think we have the best post and maybe it's structured similarly as another post that's gone viral, but yet it's, nobody's commenting. Why isn't it? It's always the algorithm. People don't understand that. They'll say, well, oh, this doesn't work, or this platform doesn't work, or this group doesn't work, but it's always down to those AI bots on any algorithm there. And it all boils down to, they're going to show what people want. So if nobody's initially reacting, the first people to whatever you've posted in wherever, then that platform is not going to show more of you to them. Exactly. Whether it's a group, whether it's your feed, whether it's a page, they just want to give people, let's put a program to give people what they want. And that's how, the algorithm is pretty simple. So, but people get frustrated and then they don't want to accept the responsibility. That's, your post flopped, but it's you. And I've done it myself. I've had posts that go do great. And I post that flop myself in my own group. It's like, it happens all the time. It's like, it's all right. I have to say, okay, well, however I worded that, or whatever angle I went, that just did not hit, and it happens, but I think that's it all across social media. People get very, very frustrated because they're hearing those crickets, nobody's commenting and nobody's looking at it. And they're like, just say, oh, that doesn't work. That platform doesn't work for me or whatever. And it's just because it's not, you're not hitting what's people want and what could solve their problem, and that in the right exact words. And that's the tricky part. But now the AI can come in and it can solve this problem for us because now we can, have the AI write it based on what millions of different things that it knows already, what goes viral and this, and now you've got a whole new situation because you're not just guessing and, like you said, throwing the spaghetti at the wall, right? Seeing if it'll stick. You've got at least some science behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. And on top of that, people don't want to put enough content out there to get true data and stimulate the algorithm, for lack of better terms. Like you can't, it's very, very difficult to put out the amount of content that the system can put out by hand. I guess it's possible, but it would be an absolute full-time job for a team of people.
Without a team, it'd be difficult. Yeah, it'd be a lot of time, but that's where most of the big dogs go, is they get a team behind them and they're spending, like Hormozi, they're spending like $80,000 a month, which returns probably, 10, 20, whatever that is. And they're also, it's evergreen too. So it's just compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding, and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But most people, even if they had the capital to do that, most people probably wouldn't even know like how to manage a team, for example, or like you know, how to get in front of a camera and speak like that. You know, there's a lot of, I mean, he's been doing it his whole life, so he's a great person to model. But to get to that level, most people, you know, wouldn't be able to do that in a lifetime.
Or be
Yeah.
exhausting too, to be
Yeah.
on camera all the time and always producing content constantly. And it's, yeah, it's a very, very tiring too. You know, even if you wanted to do it, it would be, you know, that's a job in itself. Besides everything else you have to do, you know,
Yep.
you have to do that
Yeah.
as well.
So
And
if
yeah,
we can do a fraction of that, if we can tap into, let's say, you know, a tenth or a quarter or anywhere close to that, it's going to absolutely explode anyone's business. And that's really what the system's designed to do. Maybe it's not going to be as good as Hermosi's content. It's going to be pretty comparable, but we're going to get a little piece of that pie, and everyone that's doing it is going to get a little piece of that pie because now we have the resources to get the content out at that scale.
yeah, and you brought up a good point with people, you know, not putting enough content out or just putting, and or they'll not put enough, or they think that they're offending people by, oh, I'm posting too much, but they don't realize that the way the algorithm works, even if you have a massive amount of followers, only a certain percentage at a time are going to see your content. So the more content you put out, the more chances. So I'll use this, the Women Help Women Entrepreneurs Group, for example. So if you're a standout online member, some of them think, okay, I'll just do my one promotional post a week. That's it. The most successful ones are posting valuable content like you're talking about all the time, and then using their one promotional post or if they're VIP3. See, so that's the difference. They're top of mind. So they're, if you're you can promote, there's no rule against providing value in that group. You don't have to, you know, anybody can provide non-sales value, and you can do
That's
it
right.
all day long if you'd like to, if you wanted to do that. And then you're going to get so many of those, you know, we're now almost up to 690,000 members seeing, you're going to, each time you're getting more and more pieces of the people seeing you. And then those people start commenting, liking. Now the algorithm's saying, okay, the so-and-so, Susie liked your thing, commented, I'm going to show, little bot says, I'm going to show your next post to that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's how then it starts to snowball. And that's why you see, sir, we've got members who do, oh my gosh, they get thousands, hundreds, thousands of comments, but they're active. I could always check and see. They're usually probably in the top 20 of the whole group of
Nice.
and it makes a big difference. You know, the people just go in there and say, oh, you know, 50% off of XYZ and drop a link once a week. Anywhere, that's not going to fly.
Not
People
gonna
don't
work.
want that. It's got to be value, like Hormozy.
Yeah.
You got to, if you can, and you can, any group or any people welcome that. Any Facebook group you go to is going to welcome valuable, you know, they don't want spam, they don't want you promoting, a lot of them don't allow it, but you could always give this type of content that's pure value.
Yeah.
I'll pull up
Good
something really
point.
interesting. I think it
People
might be
forget.
helpful for the people watching too. What we would do is go into the group, go into a group, I should say. And we would actually look at the best performing posts in the group. So for this one
This
is
is
in
a
ClickFunnels.
$200,000 golden nugget right here that Christian just shares once in a while. And if anyone's watching and you write this down and you really take this tip, this can be a huge game changer. Just want to point that out, honey.
Oh yeah. This is like, and this is what Amber and I have worked through in your group too, is we'll actually go in your group, we'll look at like what people are talking about. It's not necessarily what's going viral. It's because it comes down to this right here, sophistication levels, but it comes down to what people are talking about in the group. What are the popular topics and how are they broken down in a framework? So this is a framework here.
Oh, wow.
And so that you can see this is the same stuff that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Yep. So we've been using this style content for a while now, and we would go and break down these posts that got massive amounts of engagement. And we try to figure out, okay, why is it? And then we reconstruct that post. This is a reconstructed version of that post. And we often find the things that are missing. So you see here, missing. These are the pieces, and we can make them better by injecting that specific piece of that puzzle that's missing, right, from the post. make that post better, and oftentimes do better than that post would do that got all kinds of crazy engagement.
Oh, that's incredible.
And so it
Yeah.
all comes down to like, how can we backwards engineer? How can we reconstruct these posts? And how can we understand from a very scientific perspective what's going to hit and what doesn't hit? And so this is really the biggest piece is like, it's called a lead type, but it's basically the headline. And it depends on where the audience is. Are they aware or are they unaware of the problems that you're talking about? And this is like the scale here. So is it direct or is it indirect? Do we need to tell a story or do we need to make an offer? In most cases, it's going to be right around here, like solution aware in the middle in most cases. But what we do is we then take that into consideration. We understand the style of the post, the emotion behind the post, and the structure and what's missing in the post. And then we reconstruct that. And now with the AI tool that we built, this is already built into it, right? This structure and the style and the emotion and all that stuff. But
Wow. So
but
that
yeah.
does that for each post. So you're saying that basically that this component of what you're reverse engineering is already built into the AI. So it's going to format your posts exactly like to that formula. That's
exactly. Nailed it.
Christian built it on top of this. And I have a couple thoughts. One, this is what people who are going and using Chat GPT and writing one post at a time and just putting it up are missing. This kind of framework is incredibly important. And secondly, different topic, another point I want to make is that everyone's got a style. So when I mentioned earlier that I would throw spaghetti at the wall, I'd feel like my posts are really good. I personally tend to be a really excited, naturally a little bit persuasive person who has something that's going to work for you. And I want you to have it because it's amazing. Right. Which means I typically don't have angst in my post because I would forget to say, here's the problems when you don't have this thing. So when we would analyze my post, it was missing angst all the time. But it was great in some other ways. And so everyone who sees this, you've got a natural style and you're probably hitting on a few of the points and missing a few of the points. And when you hit on all of them, that's when your content will convert. And that's why Christian built the system based on that.
Yeah, because I probably do the same as you. Like I'm more on the, the energetic, like positive side. Right. Yeah, exactly. So we're probably all everybody's missing one of those components that this can fill in for us.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So that framework is literally built in to the system, to the AI mass content system, which that's huge. Absolutely huge. Wow.
Yeah. The content that it will produce will basically be two styles of content. And the reason why we want to do this is because we don't want it to sound like something that came from a Chat GPT or a Jarvis or any of that stuff. So what it will do is it will create a post, a very structured post similar to the one that you see right here. And then it will create a post about that post in the first or third person, meaning as if you're writing about it yourself from a experience. But it's going to give you a really solid framework to work with that can build on top of this post. So the other piece that most people are missing is instead of doing a post campaign where they're talking about one specific problem over and over and over again, and they're addressing objections, they're talking about transformation, they're telling people all the 7 A's, what can happen if they don't, what can happen if they do, addressing the ambiguity, addressing the, agitate side of things. What they're missing is they don't spend nearly enough time on that one topic. So they'll jump around from like topic to topic to topic. And what happens is the audience gets lost, even if it's within the same niche, so to speak. So in other words, one day I'm talking about closing deals in the DM. The next day I'm talking about objection handling. It's not enough about closing the deals in the DM to get somebody's awareness up to where they say, oh, I need to do that. Right. So it's jumping around too much. And therefore, even if the copy is really good, even if the writer is like the most engaging writer in the world, it's not nearly enough touch points to build on top of that so somebody would clearly see them as the expert or authority in that space with that solution.
Wow. Yes, that's amazing. Absolutely. I'm so excited. I can't wait to try this out and
Yeah, it's coming soon. Your system's being built right now.
oh my gosh, that's going to be amazing. Oh my
Yep.
gosh, yes. I can't wait to show everybody.
And then we'll actually go through a little bit of training with you and run it with you. And then the next stage from there is just documenting your growth, right? So like
Yes.
seeing where you are now and getting all the important KPIs. And then what happens after 30 days of doing this type of content? What happens
That's
after
gonna be
60
really,
days?
really cool. Especially to see, you know, because I have a huge on, you know, Facebook, obviously, and you know, I've got a decent size on Instagram and LinkedIn, but like even on the neglected channels, I would say my Twitter's neglected and YouTube. I would love to see that, see what happens over there as well, you know, like, because that's like
Mhm.
to see expanding out. Even TikTok's neglected. I don't really do much on there at all because exactly what this solves is that there's only so much you can put your attention on, you know, and that's why we used to always teach, pick your, you know, your pond, your pool, you know, whatever to get your tribe to. But now, you have to be on, you know, you have to be omnipresent,
Everywhere. Yeah.
omnipresent. And the only people who've been able to really truly master that are people with huge teams of people who are working for them. They're spending a fortune to get that out, to get that content out. And because you just can't do it physically yourself. It's impossible to,
It's
you
too
know, even
much.
with a small team, even with the, because you have so many other obligations in your business. Even if you have 5 people working for you and they're running your entire business and fulfillment and marketing and now you're going to put all this content, you literally need an entirely separate team. You did until now.
That's right.
Past tense, until the AI showed up and Christian showed up with and put it all together, right? I say it showed up. I know it's been, I heard it has been around the AI thing. We just, I mean, I feel like most of us just feel like it just arrived a couple of months ago, but
It does
yeah.
feel
Yeah,
that
it's
way.
very early, but it has been around for a while.
Yeah, that's the most people don't realize that, and I didn't either until somebody pointed out. I'm like, well, you know, the people in the know, you know, the techie people knew it, but most the average person's like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? Like, this is so exciting. Like, I want to use it, and then you know, and now you can use it, but then if you don't use it correctly or not even correctly, you're not going to get the same results, you know, and then you could go down rabbit holes and spend hours and hours on Chat GPT, you know, just
Yeah,
using
people
Yeah,
do.
there.
I'm sure
They
they're
do.
doing
Oh,
that.
yeah. It's a rabbit. If you're not, you know, that's what I love about what you're talking about. It's very strategic. And it's got that framework built in for, you know, that it solves, like you said, all those different points that as humans, we're going to forget to add in.
Oh yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
Unless you're
definitely.
like the perfect, you know, unicorn copywriter of that can
Yeah,
read
well,
every time to do that.
when we first started doing this, we were backwards engineering posts on that Miro board that I just pulled up a couple minutes ago, and it would take us like 45 minutes to write one post.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my
It
gosh.
was crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's how, think about how long it would take to remember all those points, come up with all those points, research all those points, and then somehow make the copy so it sounds all good and then put together. It would be very overwhelming. That I'm going to be really excited to see too, doing those and then putting those in the group too and seeing that, yeah, and we'll track everything too. It's just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely game changer. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Amazing.
Absolutely. All right. We'll catch you guys on the next one.